and it's going to continue being there.
But Motsoaledi says its implementation will be done in phases and as money allows.
There's no other way of implementing NHI except gradually. There is no country anywhere in the world that did it in any other way.
Motsoaledi says strengthening the healthcare system and implementing the national insurance are not mutually exclusive, and the upgrade of hospitals is strategic to its implementation. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The presidency says more than 53,000 young people have benefited from the Youth Employment Initiative between October and December last year. Deputy Minister Nongceba Mhlauli revealed this while sharing the initiative's progress during the third quarter of the 2024-2025 financial year. Alpha Ramoshwana reports.
South Africa's unemployment rate is currently at a staggering 45.5%, highlighting the urgent need for a solution to the country's job crisis. Between October and December last year, scores of young people secured what government terms temporary earning opportunities. The opportunities include work-integrated learning, paid service positions, and work-based placements. In the same period, young entrepreneurs received support with more than 14,600 financial and non-financial opportunities provided to help them succeed. Alpha Ramoshwana, Eyewitness News.
And the SA Human Rights Commission has lobbied Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Agriculture to drive an immediate ban on harmful pesticides, including turbifos. Turbifos has been linked to the deaths of some children following a string of food contamination cases in parts of the country. Gauteng will be partly cloudy tomorrow with isolated showers and afternoon showers. Joburg dropping to an overnight low of 16 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 17 and 26. Vereeniging 16 and 26 as well. Lerato Hufela, Eyewitness News.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
#MSW.
You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High-dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind and execution.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Final whistle blows. It's a masterful performance from TS Galaxy. They are the team to bring Sundowns to their knees and to bring to an end this 10-game winning streak that the champions have been on in the Betway Premiership. And for the first time under Miguel Cardoso, they lose a league game.
They all speak as if everything is new. Anyway.
Order, honourable members, without interruption. Deputy Minister, please proceed.
Plagiarism and data integrity are not taught at a basic education level. Yet they are...
Honourable Deputy Minister, please take your seat.
Let me remind you, Democratic Alliance, you only build when there's a constitutional court outcome. I will give you the statistics of how correctly and goodly I fail to provide human
orders.
Bendilin dead.
Honourable member at the podium, please take your seat.
Deputy Speaker, this person is speaking like she's in a coffee shop. We're not in a coffee shop here. Please. Whatever she drank, she can't bring it here. I can smell it from here, please.
Honourable member.
Whatever should be in here, please, man.
Edwin, man, sorry about what happened to you there at Magesi. I think for what you have given to South African football, you don't deserve that type of treatment. But it's rather sad that we are hearing this in 2025.
Big brand like Magesi, this thing to go this way, I feel like probably maybe they are mistaken somewhere and somehow they are not doing the right thing. And you give him an empty contract.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
It is the Wednesday edition of Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947. Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets.
Honestly, my mindset hasn't really changed. Of course, winning 4 titles has been a dream, more than a dream, I would say. I'm relaxed. I'm just looking forward, of course, to see how competitive we can be. And, from there onwards also, like, once you realize a bit how competitive you are, you set a bit of a target. But that's too early to say at the moment. What I'm looking forward to the most is just to see how competitive we are. Of course, as you said, new teammate in Liam. I'm excited to be working with him as well. And I think the whole team is excited to, look ahead to this season. Last year has been challenging at times. Of course, we had a lot of good moments. Of course, also some tough moments. And I hope that we can be, let's say, a little bit more stable and a little bit more all-round throughout the season. Honestly, I think what I find actually the most important is sleep. Because, of course, you can train well, but if you're not recovering well, it's not going to help you out, right? So it's really important to basically sleep well. And a lot of people maybe don't realize how important it is. I also really, I think, improved on that as well from when I was 18 to now. But yeah, it's definitely very important. I mean, to be honest, I think I'm very basic. So now with the help of AlphaTauri, it probably improves my style a little bit.
Sleep, 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 eh? Sleep to be awake. That's exactly what he's saying as we all look forward to Formula One season bouncing back again. That's the world champion Max Verstappen saying that despite winning 4 titles in a row, he's lost none of his focus going into the 2025 campaign with Red Bull Racing. There will be a new car, the RB21, as well as a new teammate in the 23-year-old New Zealander Liam Lawson. So yeah, expectations, man. New teams, new movements. Others are going to be wearing red. What are they going to bring to the party?
Wednesday nights, soccer nights, your nights.
All right, in studio coming up later on, though, we are going to have Mandla Shabalala. He is PM Shabalala Inc. MD. He is here. He is a sports lawyer, and he's going to be giving us a lowdown in terms of this ever and non-ending saga around Royal AM, games not being played, postponements, etc., etc. So I will zoom into that. Any questions, please feel free to send us a WhatsApp voice note or call us directly in studio 011-888-947. But right now, though, we're also going to be shining the spotlight on Marumo Gallants and their head coach, Malesela, whose tactical acumen has been pivotal, though, in shaping the team's journey this season. And under his guidance, Gallants have showcased a commendable blend, though, of resilience as well as flair in the league. And as we look ahead now, all eyes are on the upcoming clash in the Nedbank Cup against AmaZulu this weekend. Now, this game presents a golden opportunity for Gallants to demonstrate their mettle on a grand stage and also push for silverware. I think Dan Dance and silverware are good friends. Here he is. He's on the line. The Marumo Gallants coach. Dan, thanks so much for your time. Good evening.
Good evening, Robs. Good evening. It's been a while.
I know. But I'm not lying when I say you and silverware are good friends, right?
No, you're not.
And what's the prospect this time? What's it looking like? Because you have, again, an opportunity to make history with Marumo Gallants.
Yeah, look, our focus is mainly on the cup game as it is. Yes, we have a league game immediately after that against Sundowns, but the focus for this week is just on the cup itself. We just lost to AmaZulu, having gotten certain aspects of the game wrong, and we are trying to rectify that and see that we get success in the match on Saturday.
I mean, what do you think has resulted when you look at the performance so far? You've played, 16 matches, only managing, 15 points in total. Is that about what? What's the difficulty when you look at this long campaign called the Betway Premiership?
I think it's, one, it's sometimes us failing ourselves, primarily that, making errors that we were not supposed to make. We, for example, I'll give you an example of Richards Bay. We are cruising at the last minute of the game, and then then within 3 minutes, there's 2 goals scored, right at the end of the match, and it can only be our own fault, So I think sometimes it's just us getting tactics wrong or forgetting certain aspects of the game and really not focusing too much or taking things for granted. This one is done and something like that. We don't really have a bad team. I don't think so. I think we have a very competitive team. It's just us to really focus through the entire period of the match and try to win our matches. And I think once we start winning, and we may not stop.
But that was a very strange game, and I'm glad you've mentioned it, because, for me, you dominated away from home the ball possession. They got a red card after, 60 minutes of the game when Mbutuma got sent off. So you had the advantage, you had the ball possession, and then in what they call the critical stage of the game, right towards the end, the dying minutes of the game, you give away 2 goals. Have you been able to chat to the guys to try and ensure that, Dan, this doesn't repeat itself?
Yeah, we have. I mean, I think the mistake first was for us to, because we could see that a lot of fouls are going against us, and and when we were screaming, please don't touch anybody, because the only chance that they will get is to score through a set play, and we go on and we do that, and then we get punished from that, and then the 1 goal, and then immediately the 2nd goal. But we have spoken to the guys; they really understand.
And when you talk about that understanding, it's that stage now where the unknown teams become known. I don't think Marumo Gallants is an unknown entity. It is known. But when you find your Magesis of this world that people haven't been exposed to, if whatever people didn't know about them, they've played halfway through mark. You've also played the halfway through mark as well. What are your expectations, though, when you look at the second round of games for the season? You've mentioned having to play against Mamelodi Sundowns, and you watched them last night. They're not superhuman. They can be beaten.
Yeah, the issue is here is to collect every point on offer. Obviously, we go into a match with 1 point, and if you can get that 1 point, sometimes it's okay. But look, I'm not really focusing too much at the bottom. I'm focusing on teams that are above us, and when you look at the points, we are not too far apart. If you win 2 matches, then it sets you somewhere around position 8 and something like that, and you can work your way up. Depending on how we handle ourselves. The challenge is, are we mentally that strong? To be able to realize the agency that is required now, I think, and I think we can, it's just for us to focus, pay attention to the things that we do. Every single detail of the match must be observed with care, with the agency that is required, because this is no time to falter.
And when you mention no time to falter, Dan, from a management perspective, did you go to management and say, hey, here's a transfer window, I would like to plug this gap, that gap? How well did you do in the transfer market, or you didn't really do that well?
No, we did. We have signed 3 players. We got Junior Dion on loan from Amazulu, because it's difficult to get players at this period of time. And we also got another junior, Zindonga. He's a Zimbabwean come South African. So as a winger come striker. So we actually are trying to beef up the attacking department, because that's where we realize we need to be stronger, because goals are hard to come by for us, so we want to try and see how we can strengthen the top and be able to get goals, because most of our matches, you find that it's either we draw 0-0 or we win or we lose 1-0, so if we can get goals, then probably that problem will be solved of not scoring goals.
And then having to work with the former Bafana coach in Molefe.
Yes. He's bringing in a lot of responsibility in the team, a lot of knowledge, primarily what he's doing is just to guide the group, guide everybody to say, maybe we should work in this direction. That's what we can get. It's just to help, and he's been a lot of help.
And I suppose it also shows the intention. You have a Dance Malesela under the same roof as Molefi. I mean, these are football minds of the modern time.
That's what I'm saying. We are getting a lot of things right as it is. We meet from time to time, almost every day anyway. So we have meetings, and try to see where we are faltering, and try to see what solutions we can come up with. We don't just want to say let's throw in the towel, because we come up with solutions every time to say maybe this can be a solution, maybe this can be a solution. And I think very, very soon, probably in the next match, those solutions will come up.
What about the scoring solutions, though? Because I look at Managa, I look at Kabadino Mango, they're your top goal scorers. They've scored 3 goals this season. You'd have wanted them to score more. But the secret to lifting any trophy, Dan, is the ability to convert those chances as well. How strongly are you drumming that point home, and what difference in approach will you adapt when you reface this AmaZulu side?
Look, without revealing too much, I think we sometimes try to rotate the players. We have found out something from Zindoga that we didn't see. If he lives up to it, we'll see with the session tomorrow as well. If he lives up to that, then he might give us something that we did not expect. So it's one solution, but another solution is just for we get chances. That I can tell you, we get chances. It is just a focus of scoring, and it's a South African problem, because it looks like generally our players are assuming that the ball will just go in the net. If I kick there, the ball will just go in the net. But to be precise and pick up a spot and say, hey, I'm scoring there because the goalkeeper is there, because this defender is blocking there, it has been a big problem. And as soon as that is fixed, then we will see people scoring a lot of goals, including ourselves.
Whether it's on goals or direct goals, the topic, Dan said we're going to be touching on just straight after the break, has to do with Royal AM. It has to do with where we are with them legally, the frustration of coaches, games being postponed, cup games, league games, you name them. What is your take on the saga and its effect, maybe directly or indirectly, on you?
Well, not so much. I just feel for everybody at Royal AM, because much as I spent little time at the club, I know some individuals, from the club, even the assistant coach. We've been very close. I cannot imagine myself being in that situation, and I feel for everybody, including the club owner, and the other day I was saying, I hope they find a solution to this, because it is not a good thing to happen to anybody. Much as we can make a lot of noise about, hey, this and that, the life and everything else, but you don't really want to see an individual struggling. You just wish that they can get things right and get things back to normal if it's possible. I know it's difficult at this moment, but you just feel for them. And for the sake of everybody, the staff that works there, I know the ladies who depend on this club, that are working as cleaners and all of these things, and you just cannot sit and not feel for them.
Yeah, that's a human side, and I think a very fair one as well. The players, how are they feeling? The coach, how is he feeling? Their families and, as you say, extended families as well. Dance Malesela, thank you so much for your time. I wish you everything of the best and good luck.
No, thank you, Rob.
Appreciate it, man. That's the Marumo Gallants coach chatting to us right here on #MSW. All right, don't go anywhere. It's a conversation that's long overdue. So after the break, we chat to Umandla Shabalala.
#MSW Live now. on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time.
#MSW.
That's the sound of a small electric SUV with big performance. A quiet ride, but a loud statement that takes you from 0 to 100 in 3.6 seconds. And a battery that charges faster than your phone. Understated on the outside, with 428 horses on the inside. You've seen it. You've heard about it. It's time to drive the Volvo EX30 from only 791,900. Book a test drive today. T's and C's apply.
It was a dark and stormy night. Not a spark of light could be seen. Whether it was load shedding or a storm, South Africans were just not keen. Then a sound loud as a hardy-dar broke through the gloom. If they had to stay inside, let internet fill the room. A video call rings and now friends have joined. It's a virtual Cair filled with internet joy. Warmest wishes as this winter rolls through. With AfriHost, connections come true. Visit afrihost.com for pure internet joy.
Big news! Deal or No Deal has awarded over 7.5 million rand cash and continues to change lives. So, join me, Katleho, and stand to win up to 250,000 rand by registering on dealornodealsa.tv. Catch Deal or No Deal weekdays on SABC2 at 11 a.m. or 6:30 p.m. and on SABC3 at 5:30 p.m. Proudly sponsored by LottoStar.
LottoStar is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18s. National Responsible Gambling Program. 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
With AI Best Expression available on the new Huawei Nova 13, it selects the best expression from multiple pics to make sure everyone looks on point. Selfies look fabulous with this incredible 60-megapixel ultra-wide front camera. And with a 100-watt supercharged turbo, it powers up to 50% in just 10 minutes. And a gorgeous dynamic plaid texture design in Loden Green. Hashtag Super Selfie Super Pattern. The Huawei Nova 13.
At Pick n Pay hypermarkets, the biggest low price sale is back. It's Hypermania. Get bulk Grabo wors for only R79.99 per kilogram. 500 gram Escort smoked or red Viennas for only R27.99 each. And smart shoppers get 450 gram Bacomo Wheat Bix, 2 for only 55 rand. Only at Pick n Pay hypermarkets. Valid 10 to 23 February while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3451. Had no idea what to say in a meeting, so I chimed in that we need to find a balance and pick the low-hanging fruit. The CEO nodded. I think an agreement. Middle management, here I come.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Now, our guest tonight, former Sekhukhune United defender Edwin Jima.
Mr. Robert, I've been crying. That media house has ruined my reputation.
So ordinarily, one would need to give Far Post a right of response, right?
Yeah.
Who have an editor that I know very well, Ntokozo Sidube.
Probably they can call me, ask me, Jima, what we are hearing, is it true?
I actually called Edwin, but more than twice, asking him for his side of the story. And he was very aggressive. He didn't want to speak to me. And I think in the story I did mention that I gave him a right of reply, which he refused to take. And
so if he says to you he tried not once or twice to reach out to you, but you didn't?
No, Mr. Robert, it's a lie.
I called him, he dropped the call, and I sent him text messages. I was very much open to sit down with him, and I know our stories were accurate.
#MSW. #MSW. Wednesday nights, soccer nights, your nights.
All right, to talk about an unending saga And one without a doubt, though, that sets our league back by at least, 20 steps. The KwaZulu-Natal-based Royal AM as well as their boss Bamkis are facing even more challenges now in the ongoing legal disputes with SARS. And now they could be on the brink of expulsion from the league. That's what we're told. Now, Royal AM has been under curatorship since January 2025 after the South African Revenue Service, they obtained the preservation order over the club's assets. Now, in the meantime, though, the Premier Soccer League decided to suspend Royal AM from both the Nedbank Cup and also the Betway Premiership until further notice. They've cited that the club's inability to guarantee its financial solvency or meet its commitments for the 2024-25 season. Now, in an effort to return to action, Royal AM filed an urgent court application to compel the curator to issue a letter of comfort to the Premier Soccer League, thereby confirming that the club's ability to fulfill its fixture commitments. Now, what do these legal battles mean? I've got no idea. What do they mean for Royal AM's immediate future? I mean, could this signal the end of the road for the once moneyed outfit? Or could they still have a chance to bounce back? We couldn't delve into this without having to bring a legal eagle into the studio. Mandla Shabalala is that person of PM Shabalala Inc. He's the MD to explore the legal implications of this case. Mshengu, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming through on a very, very, very important matter. Good evening.
Good evening, Rob, and good evening to your listeners of 94.7.
Thank you so much. Not forgetting our countrywide spread on Vuma, on Rise, Sowetan Live. We're also live on the YouTube channel. So whichever platform you want, we're also on DSTV as well, the audio frequency. Now, when you looked overall, and maybe it's a frustration of a lot of people, Bob Shabalala, is there an end to the saga that will see Royal AM play football again and move to match day 12? They are stuck in 11 games that they've played so far.
I think there is, and then in your introduction, you have stated clearly that the ball is on Royal AM's court to convince the league that they could meet all their financial obligations. If they can do that, taking into account that the club has not been suspended. Only the matches have been suspended. Suspension can be lifted any time when the executive is happy that we have met certain requirements, that we can go back to their playing field.
But do they have to be extraordinary, these part of circumstances? Are these... Can they be what? I mean, what can change? You know, the curatorship is one of the issues that has been spoken about, and maybe it hasn't happened to this extent in this professional league before. So I think a lot of people just grappling to say, what does that mean when you don't have the control financially or otherwise of your club?
It's unprecedented. I've never heard of this. We have had club being relegated because of committing serious and very egregious misconduct. It has happened AKA, for example, and in Italy, for example. But in this case, when you own a club but you are not in control of your club, it's completely difficult. The funds are not coming to your pocket. How then do you oversee the daily runnings of the club? It becomes extremely difficult. It's even worse when the curator is not interested in football. They only want to receive, because SARS is there just to receive money, and they are happy when they just receive money.
That's why it's the receiver of revenue.
That's why it's the receiver of revenue.
So if there is nothing to receive, then there is a legal implication that goes your way.
Yes, including the asset that you own. And right now we're talking about Royal AM, which is an asset that is owned by individuals. Now, when someone owes you money, the first thing that you want to do is to try and attach an asset that will probably give you your revenue back.
So in that case, and that's an interesting point for me to come in, as we all know that the clubs get a certain amount from the broadcaster. I think it's in the tune of over 2 million rand every month. So Royal AM would have an account that's open, for a SuperSport, for example, to send that money as per the agreement, or it goes via the PSL, whichever one it works, but they do get that grant every single month. So with that under being curatorship, does that mean that that money then goes to the curator and no longer to the club? Because I would imagine that the accounts have now been frozen.
Maybe let's give it a little bit of a background.
Yeah.
How then SARS comes in. SARS, as probably most of us will know, that there is something that they call TPA, is a third-party appointment. They don't need to go to court. They can just tomorrow and attach your account. So that's what they've done. They've taken over the assets, not the ownership, but the running of the asset, including the accounts. So whatever that goes into, whatever Royal AM is entitled to from the league, it will definitely go into the curator's end. And it's up to the curator then what it does with the money. And in this case, I suspect it's the money that it closes the debt that the owners have against SARS.
Because from what we know, it's an amount, of about 42 million rand. I mean, it could be more, could be less, but that's what we are being presented with. So if it's a case of 2 million every month being taken as a guaranteed amount of money that's going to be flowing back to cover that debt, then we would have to wait a number of months before that hole is closed.
This is very interesting. I had an interesting discussion with a friend of mine yesterday about the very same issue.
Yeah.
And the discussion was, if this asset was being managed by someone who's got an interest in football, who would make sure that this thing keeps on running.
Yeah.
Because there's a potential of this asset bringing in money. For example, they're on the Nedbank Cup. They could go further to the Nedbank Cup. They could be selling players next year. But the more it continues to be dormant, the more it becomes riskier. I'm not so sure about expulsion, but if end of the season they've not accumulated points, or they've not played games, they are in a position of relegation as we speak. Now the question would be, are they then going to be relegated? Now the value of the club, as we all know, from PSL to the NFD, it's different. It's highly different.
But it can't be suspended indefinitely. For one, that is the biggest argument. Take, for example, Chippa United, who were the first recipients of the suspension. They would have trained, they would have gone through the motion to prepare mentally, physically, and otherwise for a game that never materialized. And so it goes with all the other fixtures, and that's why they've only played 11, is that in any professional setup, surely you can't be, and if it affects other second or third parties, be indefinitely suspended.
I think the NEC of the NSL were very smart in not suspending the club, but suspending the games. Because it's not only the playing field. There's other stakeholders which are very important, as you would know. Broadcasting is very important. Now, the grant money that each club receives from the league is a grant money coming from broadcasting. Now, I might not have the full facts, but when you negotiate with a broadcaster, there is a give and take. You give me so much money, I give you so many games. So what is at stake now is, am I, as NSL, PSL, am I being able to fulfill my contractual obligation in giving you the number of games that I've promised? And if not,
you're in breach.
You're in breach. And I'll give you a typical example, Robert. You still remember during the COVID season, COVID period, there was a bubble.
Yeah.
Other countries in the world suspended their games, but our games were never suspended. To a point where some teams suffered adverse prejudice because they couldn't play games. But games had to continue because we have a contractual obligation with a broadcaster. And my suspicion is exactly that now, that there is this hurdle that we need to jump, but there's this predicament of contract.
But the issue then of COVID, and I'm glad you bring that up. When then does issues of force majeure kick in? Because these are forces beyond our control.
Now, here's a question: is it forces beyond our control, or has it been a negligence of someone else?
Well, I mean, in the case of we all had to be, vaccinated. We didn't know if we were going to see the next day. Other people were machines, and many lives were lost in the process. And, at times it's a case of, do we allow sport, which is a contact? I know there was a big debate around that. We're trying to avoid contact with each other. But we know that when you're playing football and you're jumping up and down and you see players every time, they are spitting and doing all of those things, those are all things that would put you in danger when you do play. Then who becomes culpable when you do find yourself testing positive, for example? So that as a side issue, it's an interesting case, I suppose, to look at. You mentioned the selling of players as something that might bring them income. Getting far in the Nedbank Cup is something that could bring them income. But at some stage, and we all knew this, that the very same players were not getting income. So they were not getting paid themselves. So there is already default in terms of contractual obligations, even from that.
Yeah, sadly so. Sadly so. It's unfortunate that Royal Aim find themselves in this position. And even prior to SARS taking these serious steps, it's a predicament.
You took a deep breath there.
Yeah, it's a serious predicament. Well, when I'm saying there were potentials of making money, that means if you take over, you say I'm running the club, then you have to deal with all the outstandings, salaries, for example, because that becomes a serious breach, and we've experienced that, and not only in South Africa, in other part of the world, the issue of non-payment to players has become a huge issue. And this would have been a serious stumbling block to Royal AM. But if someone came and said, let me protect this asset and deal with all the outstanding, I still say it's not a bad team. They started very well. They could have easily preserve the status and competed. You will not know they've got a very good technical team experience. They could have salvaged something if there was someone who, by force, took over the team and really prepared to run with the team.
You've hit the nail on the head there, because I was going to drift towards that. I think they would know more than anybody else what the cost of buying a team is, because that's exactly what they did with Bloemfontein Celtic. So in the rough estimate of 65 million rand, for example, is what this asset would cost. So would it not make financial sense to say, okay, are you willing to forego on an ongoing basis this problem that you've run into, as opposed to saying once and for all, footstoots, I sell this asset, I get my 65 million, I settle what needs to be settled with the revenue service, I forget about this thing called football, but then I get my dignity and pride back, we settle the player's salary, and we move on.
Yeah, ideally, yes. It's like being your house being auctioned,
yes,
or about to be auctioned, and instead of you just selling the house, get whatever that is there and get something smaller. But there is that pride of still wanting to be the owner of this asset. And I suspect these were foresaw, and they were either ignored, or maybe they thought there'd be measures in place to try and resolve it. I'm not so sure how Royal AM is being managed, but over and above that, there's other problems of the player being owed so much money.
Yes.
So
there is a standing, FIFA case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, but however, the players tend to lose big time if the team just disappears. So I think that they've had challenges. Whether I don't know if they foresaw them or they've put measures in place to try and avert these situations. I don't know. As I say, I termed it as a unprecedented.
Yeah.
Because you've, as you said, that you've got this asset that is worth easily 60 million rands.
Yeah.
That can easily disappear, and it's unfortunate.
All right, when you come back from the break, I want to find out, though, if there is legal standing of an expulsion. And when I talk about legal standing as far as expulsion is concerned, I go back to what the league itself have written down, and there's a certain Article 10.16, which is very interesting.
Hashtag MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time. Hashtag MSW.
Charge into running rugby action with Hollywood Bets. Grab the chance to win big and enjoy every try, tackle, and triumph when you back your favorite teams in international and local rugby fixtures. Be in the game and bet today.
Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
KFC Streetwise is cooking in a stew. We're cooking something hot to 3 of SA's biggest stars, and the streets are shaking because it's coming soon. But y'all know we do our best cooking in the kitchen, right? That's why our Streetwise Bucket for One is now available in dunked. So, shake things up with 1 piece of original recipe chicken, small chips, and 2 Zinger or dunked wings from only $39.90. KFC, it's finger-licking good. Delivery fees are not included while stocks last. T's and C's apply. Visit kfc.co.za.
The Checkers Extra Savings Extravaganza is back with new deals every week. Like Doritos Corn Chips, 145 grams, any 3 for 55 Rand. Flora, 40% light, 50% regular or 60% gold fat spread, 500 grams, any 3 for 99 Rand. And Huggies Gold Jumbo Pack or Extra Care Nappies or Pants for $229.99 per pack. Valid until 16 February only at Checkers and Checkers Hyper or shop on 6060.
Does your business need funding, as in yesterday? Did you know that with Lula, you could have the funds in your account as soon as tomorrow? At Lula, you can get up to 5 million Rand in business funding in 24 hours. Apply online in minutes with no paperwork, no collateral, and best of all, no hidden costs. Waiting weeks to get your business funded is so yesterday. Apply today at lula.co.za and make cash flow.
Hey Siri, where can we turn up?
Searching. Are you looking for the biggest party of 2025? Here's the tea. The Mahindra Fusion Fest on 22 February at Sunbet Arena, Pretoria is where it's at.
Mikasa, KO, Matthew Mole, Super Hot Sticks, Casper Nyovest, Young Stunners, Java, Gamumpela, and more come together in a never-seen-before fusion.
But wait, there's also fashion and art, and you could win a Mahindra XUV3 XO.
Get your tickets today at Ticket Pro. Mahindra Fusion Fest. Celebrate the fusion. Discover the X.
Want to save on your next local holiday? Lekker offers amazing deals on local accommodation all year round. From self-catering getaways to luxury stays and everything in between, Lekker has something for every budget. Don't miss out on Lekker amazing year-round accommodation offers all over South Africa. Download the Lekker app today and discover how easy it is to book an affordable holiday. Lekker, always save on the best local stays.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
South Africa's a tennis player and also winner of the Ubuntu Sport Award to KG Khutato. You know I'm still your number 1 fan, right?
Of course.
I just thought I'd let you know I'm still your number 1 fan. I am the Mama Joy of Khutato Motaji.
Hey, I need to see you everywhere now where I go.
I think you really deserve a traveling band of fans.
You know, this award is just, for me, it's just a reminder of how far I've come, because sometimes you feel like you're giving your best. Some of your achievements are going unnoticed. Carrying the image of the country, you know. Yeah, I'm the first Black South African to ever win Wimbledon, actually. So it was quite an emotional one. I was taken aback of how fast I have come.
Hashtag MSW. Hashtag MSW. Wednesday nights, soccer nights, your nights.
Good evening, Rob, and good evening to the legal eagle that you've got there in studio. I just want to ask the gentleman, is it legally possible for PSL to put a capital reserve model where maybe possibly teams can deposit funds equivalent to the operational expenses of the club for the entire season onto a trust fund where that money will then come in an emergency situations like the Royal AM situation where the club is unable to honor its financial obligation because of the issues that they currently have. Need to find out from you if it's something that is possible. Thank you so much.
Deboka, thank you so much indeed. Talking about a capital reserve. If you're just joining us here, Mandla Shabalala is my guest. He is the PM Shabalala Inc. MD, and he is, of course, a sports lawyer, legal, as Deboka was saying. Is that a possibility? What Deboka asks.
Yeah, well, anything is possible. I think these experiences could easily try and assist the league in trying to safeguard these kind of issues going forward. Because, Rob, there's a lot of issues that are not being reported in as far as monies are concerned. You know, we've got a dispute resolution chamber with the NSL. It's flooded with cases of breach of contracts. I was shocked the other day. I saw an order against a team in NFD, an order amounting to over R1 million.
What is that for?
Well, it's a breach of contract.
Yeah.
So
non-payment of players?
Payment of players, unfair dismissal, all that. But it's flooded. There's cases every day, if not every week, of financial issues.
Yeah.
So these type of suggestions which the board is bringing up, these are models that the PSL should think about it, because you're not only protecting the club. There's players who most of them are breadwinners at home. So if a player, I'm feeling sorry for Royal M players especially, because the grant money is their money. Now they're not accessing that money, which the club got entitled to through them selling their own image rights to the club. So they're not benefiting from it. So it wouldn't be a bad idea, like in Europe with the financial fair play, something like that. But I'm certain that this type of experiences will then encourage the NSL to be creative enough to make sure that the players are being protected, or anyone employed by the clubs are protected.
I think one of the issues around money and what people get to earn is very important. I mean, I mentioned this in the light of news that's just been confirmed literally as we're heading into the break. And when you look at what a club's ambition is about, what is it that they want to partake in? Do they want to partake in the Champions League and earn in US dollars, something that will propel their club to something completely different that they've never seen before? I mean, just this past Friday, we had in the studio the FIFA Club World Cup trophy. It was here. So, yes, besides Mamelodi Sundowns having their name embroiled in that particular trophy, what else? So I'm going to break it down to you in a second. And whether it's directly linked to ambition or whatever, but I'm just talking about on the field of play. Sundowns will earn an eye-watering 900 million rand participation fee, even before kicking a ball. Their participation fee in this massive FIFA Club World Cup happening later this year, that is what they will get. Now, you want to put that amount into perspective. It's almost the same amount of money that the Premier Soccer League's top league, which is the Betway Premiership, earns in sponsorship money for the next 3 years for their title. 900 million. So it wouldn't be far-fetched to say there is money to be made in this thing called football. But how do we go about it where we avoid, as you said, the DRCs of this world falling short of paying players, doing the basics, but having big, bold, and broad ambition? I don't know what your take is. This, obviously, as incoming just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, you've put it so nicely. It's very enticing, the 900 million rands. But how much do you spend for you to get to that?
Yeah,
I think that's a critical question. I'm sure Sundowns have spent far more than that with the acquisition of players and the technical staff. I mean, you look how Sundowns has been run now. It's a machine on its own. Now, maybe the club owners of other clubs, this is a question that we should pose to them, as to whether are you then willing to come in and spend money? I mean, we need to be honest that there's no money in football. Somebody said football, it's a very expensive hobby. Unless you become smart about it, you run it like a business. I've seen people spending money that is not there, but they've spent money because they want to run this asset. So the more you've got a bigger purse, the likelihood is that you could easily compete and go up to compete in continental CAF competitions. But my experience with the amount of the money that the clubs are losing through corporate governance, well, let's put
the
it
lack thereof.
The lack thereof of corporate governance, it really is disturbing. Because one, yeah, you can get the right technical people, staff, you can get the right players, but the engine of the club is in administration. Do you have the right people to run your club administratively? Because some of these things could be avoided.
That's why people have always said that football should not become a tenderpreneur's dream for fame, using football and its popularity.
Unfortunately, Robert, that's what we're experiencing now.
Yes, exactly. And that is why so many different clubs lose and sell their statuses, and therefore losing the history of the game, because you're selling it literally for peanuts. I want to go back to this article 5.4.
Yes.
There's also article 10.16 saying that should a member club not be able to fulfill its obligations to the league or be wound up, the executive committee may recommend cancellation of its membership to the board of governors. And then Article 5.4 takes us and says, should a member club withdraw from the league after the start of the season, but before the member concerned has played against every member club in its division at least once, then all results of that member club will be expunged from the league as if the member club had not participated at all. Now, so should the league enforce Article 57.13 of expulsion? I mean, all of Royal AM's results would be expunged as though they never participated. So, which means then the 2024-25 Betway Premiership season would have to continue with only 15 clubs instead of 16.
Yeah, but let's correct something, Robert.
Yeah.
You're talking about expulsion. Expulsion comes as a result of a punishment for a misconduct that you have committed. For failure, among others, is failure to honor your measures.
Yeah.
Now, to the defense of Royal AM, they've not failed to honor any match. They were placed on suspension by the league. So then the question would be, how then do you punish them for the decision of the NSL? Now, maybe the best thing that the NSL could do is fixture them and let them fail on their own, then charge them, because that's a serious misconduct.
But is there no precedence to that? If you go back to how Royal AM in its fight against Sekhukhune United, where clubs pitched up for their games, Royal AM didn't. The games were live on television. The referees were there. They took to the field. They went to the center half, and they demonstrated that they've kicked off, which meant that the game has happened, but they never rocked up for any of those games.
Indeed, that's a failure to honor the fixture.
Yeah.
After having been fixtured to play. In this case, Royal M cannot be fixtured because they've been suspended. I think that's the dilemma which the PSL find themselves in. Whether you expel them from the league, on which grounds? Because the DC will have the power to impose a sanction of expulsion for a misconduct. Now, maybe it's terminology, maybe it's English.
Yeah.
You're terminating the membership is now what will be the ground for termination? In this case will be not Royal M failing to honor their game, but Royal M failing to show any signs that they will be able to meet their financial obligations towards the club.
And its members.
And its members.
Yeah.
A tricky one as well.
And because the PSL does not function and float up in the air, there is something called the mother body. At what stage does SAFA come in?
Well, in as far as the PSL disputes are concerned, they come in at a very later stage. They come in at an arbitration level, at an appeal level. Right now, we don't know where we're sitting, whether there's a disciplinary hearing or whether it's expulsion, that if you expel me, then as a member, I've got a right to take it to other judicial bodies of SAFA. That could be an appeal or arbitration. I can even go to CAS, can even go to FIFA. Those are all judicial bodies or avenues that I can take. But I think the dilemma that the PSL is finding itself in now, this is just my opinion, is they don't know how to tackle it. Now I'm gonna take it back to the issue of broadcasting. Are they really ready to go to the broadcaster and say, I promise you 16 teams, but now I can give you 15 teams? And my suspicion is that that's where the challenges are.
But the broadcaster would be aware, though, of the extent and the nature of that challenge. They can't challenge it any further than what it is. So what then happens? Does a Milford wait and wait and wait? If it gets to a stage now, you keep going to a quarterfinal. So you're saying Royal M, Milford, or gets to play against until it's the day of the final. Can you even have a final?
Well, I think everything will boil down to the contract between the broadcaster and the NSL, which we are not privy to, the broadcasting agreement. Unfortunately, we don't know the content, because if it was as simple as we think it should be, I mean, one could easily say, if they cannot pay the players, let them just leave the league. In fact, someone told me that one of the players is attempting to take the club to make an application for liquidation against the club. Because, and we must remember, we must also state that the clubs, all the clubs in the NSL are all P2I LTDs.
Yes.
So that means there's a third party, a third leg that is playing a role. We've got company laws, we've got SARS laws that are applicable. Now, the duty of the NSL is to make sure that there are games. But in as far as corporate governance is concerned, those are bodies that are outside of football. And if I'm owed money, then one of the easiest way to go about getting my money is liquidation. Now the question will it be wrong for the player to decide now to say, I've been owed my money for so many months, and the only avenue available for me, the legal route then, is to, because even if I go to PSL, am I going to be able to get my money from the grant? Chances are no. Liquidation could be another route that one might decide to take.
I'm just thinking, I've got no time. Time is gone. Time has disappeared. I was going to say that can't the very same Royal AM ask for an advance from the broadcaster to say, please pay us for the rest of the season. Let's see what that amounts to. We will owe you in kind later. But anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm not a legal eagle. You are. PM Shabalala Inc., the MD, Mandla Shabalala. Thank you for your insight, sir. Thank you for your wisdom in a very difficult situation.
Thank you for having me.
Highly appreciated. Highly appreciated.
Thank you,
All right,
sir.
Marawa Sports Worldwide. Catch us again tomorrow right here on the show. Proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets. #MSW.